didn't. I just seen it the other day. I noticed it. That's pretty nice. It's really all well, it'd be good for you on a trip.
This conference will now be recorded.
Well, I mean, that was, for me, that was the basis of our experience. It was like, must have been cold spots and stuff. I've never seen trees break and snap.
Very nice.
We got through it. We got the power back.
Yeah, if you would, please.
Okay, all right. Okay, I call the meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Everybody cut your mics on if you don't have your mic on, please. Okay, so first item of business will be the minutes from last month's meeting that we received tonight. And I assume they to be accurate and correct, right, Jan? So we need a motion to address the minutes.
I make a motion they be accepted.
Okay, it's been moved that they be accepted as presented. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, before we begin, I'd just like to welcome Cal Knight. Be the first night that he'll be actively sworn in and a voting member of the board. And then Jessica Davis, who is an alternate, but we will need to be using her tonight, so she will be also participating. And she was actively sworn in recently, I don't know when, but so they are our new members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Again, Jessica is an alternate and will just be, her need will be requested when we have a vacancy that needs to be filled on a temporary basis. So starting with our case tonight, we have one case, and I'll read the case. The case, oh, I'm sorry, looking at last month's. I want to start there. Case number V21825. Matthew Fant has requested variance from Madison County Ordinance. Structure shall be located 50 feet or more from any street right of way, which is 50 feet or greater in width, or 100 feet or more from the center line of any street right of way less than 50 feet in width. In Madison County Ordinance Appendix 2, Article Lot Corner, a lot abutting upon two or more roads at their intersection. The front of a corner lot shall be the side where the driveway entrance is or will be located as approved by the Virginia Department of Transportation. The setback on the side facing the side road shall be 35 feet or more from both main and accessory buildings. The variances are requested for property located at 3244 Ridgeview Road, and further identified as Madison County Tax Map 32-162. Front setback is requested to be reduced from 100 feet to 34 feet, and the side setback is requested to be reduced from 35 feet to 13 feet. The purpose of the variance request is to allow a building that was recently constructed without a zoning permit to remain within the setback area. So before I go to Mr. Fant, I'll read two correspondences that I have here. One was addressed to Alan Nichols, Planning and Zoning Administrator. My name is Charles Hitt. I live within 300 yards of Matthew Fant. My grandson lives very close to him also. His name is Bradley Nicholson. His address is 3133 Ridgeview Road. We wish to inform you that we have no problem with the garage he is building. Signed by Charles Hitt. And the other is in form of an email addressed to Mr. Nichols, to whom it may concern regarding the Fant property on the corner of Ridgeview and Trimey Roads. First, please let me be known that no one residing at or affiliated with 223 Trimey Road, Riva, had anything to do with reporting this property for this or any other county violation. Secondly, is the position of those residing at 223 Trimey Road, Riva, that we fully endorse Madison County's enforcement of the county's codes and rules regarding construction of structures in the county. So, Mr. Fant, someone representing Mr. Fant, want to,
Mr. Chairman, may I interrupt and make a statement?
sure. Yes, Suzanne.
I am a neighbor of Mr. Fant, not at this location, but Mr. Fant grew up as my neighbor off of Leon Road. And we have continued to be friendly neighbors now that he is an adult and we give him permission to hunt on our property. But based on this association with the applicant, I would prefer to recuse myself from hearing the case and would ask you and the board to excuse me from these deliberations.
Okay, Suzanne. So Suzanne Long is stepping down on this case. Go right ahead.
I'm sorry, is this mine? I'd like to also recuse myself from this case too, knowing the people here.
Okay, so Kyle Knight is also stepping down in this case due to conflict of interest. And because those two individuals are stepping down, I'm asking Jessica as our alternate BZA member to participate on this case, saying she has agreed to do so and will. Okay, So, Mr. Fant, the floor is yours if you want to tell us your situation and your hardship. Yeah, use the microphone, please.
I mean, I built this pole barn. I mean, I didn't think we needed a permit for something that didn't have no power or water going to. I mean, it's a three-sided little pole barn, and I mean, if I thought I needed a permit, I would have went and paid the money and got a permit. I mean, the guys that was helping me with it thought we didn't need one, so that's why we went ahead and started building this thing without one. 'Cause they was on the understanding that anything that didn't have no power or water running to it, that we didn't need a permit.
Well, and I guess you have found out since then that that is not accurate. So what is your, generally people that come before and asking us for variances are reasons of hardship, either slope or grandfathered lots or rock outcroppings or swamps or something like that. What kind of hardship might you have that you couldn't meet the setbacks?
I mean, I couldn't move it no closer or it's gonna block my driveway, and I can't put it down the hill, because as you see, I live on a hill that all the water washes down the hill. And it's just kinda like a flooded area every time it rains, so if I went any farther forward, then I would be blocking my driveway, and I looked at it from all the angles, and it's not blocking no lanes of traffic or anybody seeing up and down the roads on either road, so that's why we thought that would be the best spot, so it's not blocking our driveway, and I'm not down in the field where it's get flooded every time it rains or snows.
BZA members, have questions, comments from Mr. Fant?
I have a comment or a question.
Sure, go ahead, Roger.
You was advised in October, I believe, according to this documentation I have, that you were in violation of the ordinance. But it also says, I believe it's in December, you were still working on it. You didn't actually stop working on it.
If we was still working on December, it'd have been done. We stopped in October. I mean, we got one day left and the building's done.
Just going by what I got in front of me here, and even in December, it says that it was requested this year.
That's false. I mean,
I can vouch for that, because I sold him the land, I lived straight across the road from him. He was not working on it.
So you did not pour the concrete after you were told to stop?
no, sir.
Marty, for the record, you want to just tell everybody who you are so
Yeah,
it gets
I'm
in
Marty
it?
Wheeler. I sold Matthew the property, and I lived straight across the road from him.
Okay.
Other than that,
I'm calling Tucker, and I've never seen any work going on either, since October.
Questions, comments from BZA members from Mr. Fant?
I have a question.
Go right ahead, sir.
So what is the foundation? I can see the wood there in the bottom, but what other, do you have a poured concrete or pilings, or what's the foundation for that?
it's concrete, didn't dig down into the ground, so we just poured concrete on top. Since my well was somewhere close, I just didn't want to do no digging. That's why we just put everything on top of the ground.
Did I read there, was there any issue with the distance to the well? Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
I think it was 1 foot and 3 inches short.
That's all the questions I had right now.
Okay, Alan, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I do, Mr. Chairman. At the time that the office received the complaint about the construction of this property, office staff, including myself, went out to visit the property. We found Mr. Fant there, and photographs from that date are provided in the packet and displayed on the screen. At the time that we first talked to the applicant, there was gravel down on the ground and the building constructed as you see in the photographs. We did ask Mr. Fant to come in and get permits. Upon returning to the office, I did notify the building official who's here tonight about the construction. He promptly issued a stop work order for the property. Upon my next visit to the property, construction had continued, including pouring of concrete as well as installation of the of windows and other small matters, as illustrated in further photographs.
Not yet, Matt.
Beg your pardon?
I was talking to him.
All right. The photographs that are here are from a visit in January. I did have an interim visit that I did not record, but we observed that concrete had been poured sometime between these two visits, but I don't have the date to report to you on that one. As staff, I would recommend that the variance not be granted as the hardship was self-imposed. It could have been avoided if the applicant had come to get permits. The property is large enough that there are any number of places that would have been appropriate to place the structure. And that's all, sir.
Okay. Now, Matt, you want to say something?
As you can see in the pictures that he took, can you scroll down to the pictures that you took that day when you came out?
Mhm.
Okay, you see that skid steer sitting there? That's the machine they used, that's the day they poured the concrete. Same day you came out. That's why they're putting gravel in there, as you see in the picture on the back corner. That's when they poured the concrete, that same day.
So what day was it? Do you know?
In October, whatever day it was, when he came out and took the pictures.
October 11th is the date that we visited, sir.
And there was no concrete that day?
There was no concrete there when we took the pictures, and we asked him to come in and get permits.
You could see in the pictures of the skid loader sitting there, they're steady putting gravel in there. So we took a moment to talk to you, and it ain't been no more work since then.
But you know, Matt, that's when your county administrator or representative county administrator comes and tells you that, that's when you make a phone call and stop the concrete.
You see the one truck backed in there now? That's the concrete guys on that day.
So is that the same day they told you about it?
Same day. We haven't done no work after that. You can see the loader and you can see the truck, the concrete truck right there, backed in there, in them pictures on that day.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment?
Yes, go right ahead.
The only thing I'll say is that when we were on the site originally, there was no wet concrete truck there. They may have been forming on that day or preparing gravel, but there was no mixing truck there on site. And I don't have any desire to go back and forth on the matter, but my thoughts, let's say, and notes will stand.
Any other comments, questions from BZA members? Back to the audience, or we'll go to the audience if there's any other comments, questions from the audience.
Yeah, I don't know where else you want to put it. It's a swamp down the hill, I mean, really.
Well, I don't know, Marty, I kind of disagree with you. I wrote it there, it looked like me, it was a lot of
See where
room.
that, they got the silk fence around it, it says it gets bad down in there, right up there.
Well, it's
Well, do
asking-
Rob,
I'm not gonna get in an argument with you, either one of you guys, or you, Matt. I've seen other places that, yeah, I'd agree that there was physical limitations. I think you have more options there, but that's my personal opinion. And you are for the record, please?
I'm Chrissy, I'm Matthew's mom.
Okay.
The paper that Alan sent, the stop work order, did not come on the date that he's saying in October. It came to my address, not Matthew's address. I don't know why he would have sent it to my address instead of Matthew's address. And it did not come till several weeks after I understand that, yeah, there should have been a permit, but originally we did not think a permit was needed. Again, this is a pole shed. It does not have electricity, it does not have plumbing, it is a simple pole shed. It's not like it's something that he's gonna be living in or some kind of fancy garage. It is very simple shed, but regardless of how simple it is or whatever, this is a $25,000 investment that my son has put into this shed, and the county now wants him to just take a $25,000 loss like it's nothing. That is a hardship for a 24-year-old person to have to just throw away $25,000. Would anybody here today like to just throw away $25,000? Would you?
I would make that mistake, ma'am.
So.
I'm
maybe
not-
our
I mean, you
background
asked me.
is
I'm
that,
not
but-
gonna make that mistake.
But our background is not that we have a knowledge of permits are needed for a pole shed, and I don't think that an average person would even realize that. Look how many other buildings there are in this county that have not been permits involved, and I can tell you they're a lot more extravagant than this pole shed.
But this is gonna be half size, right? It's gonna be all closed in, correct?
3 side, nothing in the front.
So it's really technically a little bit more than a pole shed.
It's no different than the run-in sheds that we have for our animals. I mean, it's the same concept. And originally,
I don't have concrete for my animals running, so.
well, I don't.
You might not, but most people do.
It would keep.
No, I wouldn't
tell
agree with you there,
livestock, it
I'm not gonna
helps
agree
out
with you there.
tremendously if you
We're not gonna argue about these kind of issues. We're not gonna argue about it.
I understand that you're not gonna argue, but I wanna reiterate the point here that this was originally gonna be used to put a couple, goats or pigs in for his brother. I'm sorry, your expression threw me off. For 4-H, and it has become this big ordeal that it's, I mean, I guess I'm just the average person, but like many, I didn't realize that a permit was needed, neither did the person building it, and, yeah, it's a little too close, but again, we are common people that did not have knowledge of that, and we're trying to make it right. He just built a house, and permits were given every step of the way for that house. He did everything correctly, so it's not like it's typical for us to just break the rules or laws involved, because we never have.
Questions, comments from BZA members?
May I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, go right ahead, Jessica.
Hi, Matthew. It says in the letter that Alan, Mr. Nichols wrote to Mr. Wilkes that he spoke to you in October. You spoke to him on the property that day, like when he came out to visit. There's a comment in there that says that you would you could try to come into the office that following week to fill out an agricultural exemption for that permit. What happened? Did you not?
They said I wasn't allowed to have it because I didn't have enough acreage there. They have to have 5 or more acres. And I only got quite 5 there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
It's 3.8, is that right?
Yes, sir.
3.8.
Something like that.
Gotcha.
Is there an agriculture exemption, Alan?
Not to
I've
mu-
heard people say different things here lately.
The agriculturally exempt status is a building code issue. I don't render opinions on that. That is in the building official's hands. My understanding is that this is not an agriculturally exempt building. It's not used in an active farming operation.
Well, I would agree that a 3-acre lot probably doesn't qualify if there is one. But I was always on the assumption that there was agriculture exemptions. But
I don't think they're exempted from setbacks.
no, when I have asked in the last couple of years, it was a setbacks. You had to come get a building permit, but there was no fee involved to check setbacks. That's what I was told.
That is correct. It's simply, to the best of my understanding, agriculturally exempt buildings are simply exempt from the inspection process and the requirements of the Virginia statewide building code.
Right, correct. It's a building code restriction.
But the zoning regulations still apply even to agricultural buildings.
Which is essentially setbacks.
Yes, sir.
Acreage requirements.
Essentially, yes.
Board members. Any more questions, comments? Or a motion? Somebody needs to make a motion. I cannot. No, we're back to the board. We're done with public comment.
I make a motion to vote.
You're welcome to make the motion if you would like, sir.
I make the motion.
Would you like to make the motion?
I would.
Go right ahead. The floor is yours.
I vote to deny the variance.
Okay, Sarah has made a motion that the request for a variance be denied. Is there a second to her motion?
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded by Roger that this request for variance be denied. All those in favor of the motion to deny, raise your right hand, please. Okay, any opposed? So the motion has been denied.
Bullshit is what that is.
Matt, sit down, sit down, sit down. Do you want me to go get the deputy? We are done here. If you're gonna comment like that, we're done.
Y'all, like when Jack Shop and Meander run on the corner, how do y'all issue a permit there for that house?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, right here on Jack Shop Road, Meander Run, the house that's getting built on the lot that ain't even 100 feet wide. How do y'all make the motion to carry that on as a board? How do y'all approve that? Something
I
you
don't
gonna
know
live
what you're
in.
talking
When
about.
Jamie didn't hit the building, all of a sudden he agrees that should not even be passed, but you don't know how it got passed. Y'all have a good one.
I don't even know what you're talking about,
Yeah,
but
of
that's
course you
most
would.
inappropriate,
I
Matt.
figured you would.
Have a good day.
You have about it.
I will,
Y'all need.
I will. Good seeing you, Colin. We're not finished yet. No, I don't, unless Alan does.
See you tomorrow, Jimmy.
The only other item that I wanted to bring up tonight is I wanted to remind people of, I know, Suzanne, we were talking last month about going out and make site visits. And there have been issues in the past, mostly with Board of Supervisors, but it's effective for all of us, that if 3 or more people meet to discuss issues of county dealings, then that's considered a committee meeting. So if there's 2 of you on a site visit, it's fine. But if there's 3 of you, it has to be treated as a committee meeting, or it should be treated as a committee meeting. Now, I don't think that will ever, should never be an issue, but you need to be aware of that. If you want to make a site visit, that's great. But if there's 3 of you together at one time, legally, it's supposed to be advertised, it's supposed to take minutes, and public's supposed to be invited, and all those issues become involved if there's 3 or more, and you discuss issues relevant to this board. If you just go and don't ever talk about issues like this, then that's fine, but you you just need to be aware of that. So try to make a habit of only 2. Don't make it 3. Don't make it a group visit. I just happened to think about that. We were talking about making site visits, and we just need to be aware of that. At one time, it was a big deal with a certain board of supervisors. And that's all we need to say about it, but it can be an issue. I don't have any other business tonight. Does anybody have any business?
I just have a question for Alan. Now, he does have a recourse for this, correct?
He does, he can take us to court.
He can appeal this to the court, right?
Mhm.
Will he be notified of that, or is he already aware of it?
So I'm just going to go by what the state code has to say on it. Tomorrow, I will send a letter that, as a conclusion to his application, that says that this body met this evening, the case was heard, and the request for a variance was denied. Whatever appeal requirements are, whatever I'm required to disclose as far as appeals go in the state code, I will do so. I'll run it by the county attorney to make sure I'm doing it correctly. And what I believe to be correct, but I will verify, is that he will have 30 days in which he can appeal or to the court, or it will become what they call a thing decided. If he goes longer than that, then he will lose his ability to appeal, I believe. So I think that the clock is ticking.
But he needs to have this information, correct?
Yes. So, and I'm more than happy to be an open book on such matters. We never try to hide anything. As is very clear in the notice of violation that I gave him, it gives the criteria to appeal in big letters right on the bottom. So if you disagree, and I never take it personally, this is what we do. So I will say that we send all of our mailings out certified, and so I always have the receipts for when we sent something. So, but I didn't want to have an argument.
Well, and I will say, since the mics are still on, it's a matter of public record. I was on the planning commission 17 years, and I've been on this, 5 or something like that, and most of that time in leadership positions. And I've never been cussed at like that before at a public meeting, and that's a little disturbing. It's a lot disturbing.
We invited the deputy for a reason.
I understand.
So if he does not appeal, he'll need to take that down.
I'm going to send an instruction that he do so with the letter, and if he wants to appeal, I mean, if we get notice that he has sued us essentially, then we'll simply, wait on him removing it until after a judge tells us what to do. And I will certainly seek advice from our counsel.
Is that the kind of response you've gotten from him when you have met with him? I assume that it is.
The general attitude was, it was a make me do it kind of attitude. And I try very hard to treat all of our citizens the same.
Sure.
I gave him the same grace that we gave everybody else. And his time to appeal had technically expired when he filled out his application. If you'll notice the date of his notice of violation, I believe it's 31 days after when he filled out his application, because I called him and told him to take down the building or he could come in today. So, I mean, essentially, that's what he did. But I would give anybody else the same grace, give them every opportunity.
That's what I was reading in here, and that's why I questioned him about the timing, and he still says he stopped.
So,
There is a concern about the residents on that lot as well, the setbacks?
well, let's see here. We're all together. Let's look at it.
I think there was a
Sorry,
cert.
did y'all see a concrete truck?
There was no concrete truck.
Concrete truck in the end.
No, I didn't.
I do construction every day, and I didn't see a concrete truck.
That was a gravel truck.
I was zooming in, there was no.
Without a doubt. I even double checked myself, I was like, am I seeing this wrong?
So,
If somebody like Alan showed up and told you that you were in violation, wouldn't you pick up the phone and call a concrete truck right away?
I would have had it settled in a couple days. I would have had it all settled out with right away. There would have been none of this
I
happening,
mean,
so.
we've seen people in here previously. We don't get mad at folks if something
No.
happens and you don't know. We just work it out.
Right.
But about the residents, so the front setback is 100 feet And I have Mr. Fant's permit for his dwelling, and it says 100 feet. So if you'll notice, his house is set 78 feet. So
It's invalid.
I did my best to try to get him to remedy the building, because I don't have any interest in making somebody move their home.
Right.
No.
But I thought it best to avoid a judge, you know, who would have the power to tell him to move his home, as he is not in compliance with his permits. So, I mean, you asked, there it is. So, but that's not our intention, of course, to issue violations or further explore the placement of that home.
Well, the 13 feet is pretty close, I think. It's a little too close.
Yeah, I mean,
He had a building
that's how
permit.
it came to the attention of the person who will remain confidential, who complained, is because it was so close to the road, it drew people's attention.
Sure, yeah,
Well,
right.
it's- you know it's too close.
By a lot too.
So run right into
It's
it.
not even
Right.
close.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
Correct. The setback, or here where it's 13 feet, it should be 35, and it should be 100 feet back. So it's not close on either side.
No, it's really not.
And we did the best we could do to be prompt and talk to him before he poured concrete. So, because I don't want somebody I have no chip on my shoulder on the matter. I don't want to see somebody spend a bunch of money and then, you know, have to have them wasted either. That's why I'm not interested in the house or anything else, but here we are.
You gotta have cooperation too.
Well, you can't have people being that way about it. You know, you have to be agreeable. I mean, it's just like fellow we had not that long ago. I mean, he just bent over backwards to do whatever he could to comply. And
Oh,
that
yeah.
wasn't what same way.
Most people are that way.
Sure, well, they all.
And although they may express frustration, and I get frustrated on some things too that come up. I mean, innumerable things in our ordinance, right? But at the same time, you do have to figure out how to navigate those things instead of just putting your feet down.
He had a building permit for the home, I assume, correct?
Yes, he has a zoning permit, building permit for the home,
So it was
But
inspected.
he didn't put it where the permit,
correct. His building permit for the home was issued for 50 feet off the sideline and 100 feet off the front.
Right.
So he complies to the side, but not the front. Yeah. So, you know, we're guessing where things go instead of measuring.
That's what it sounds like. Okay, any other discussion before we adjourn? Do we have cases next month?
At this time, I do not have any, and since I suspect we're quickly approaching my deadline for advertise, I expect that I won't see you until April at the earliest. Unless y'all want to stop by and say hello. You did, yep.
Okay, if nobody has any other business, we need a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jessica, and cut your mic. Thank you, Jeff. This page.
This conference is no longer being recorded.